Chris wants me to wait, so I'm gonna wait real quick. Okay. And thank you so much. Thank you. Yay. It is truly an honor to the board members and the community, my heart, Normandy. After 35 years of dedication, hard work, respect for my hundreds of students, I'm humbled and honored to receive the Arts Educator of the Year legacy. I know I don't really look like legacy, but from the Arts and Education Council. As he said, this year, the gala entitled The Great Gatsby Meets the Cotton Club will be held at the Chase Park Plaza on January the 30th, 2023. I pray that there will be representation from my beloved Normandy to cheer me on. And a quick thank you to Dr. Ryder and Ms. Sheila Williams, who came to the Apple for the Teacher ceremony. And I encourage you to bring some more of our Normandy friends to what's going to happen on the 30th. So let's get on to the opera. As many of you have heard, on Thursday, September the 7th, 2022, I started a project with the Opera Theater St. Louis and the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Together, we led the students, third grade students, to create a libretto using the story of the Three Little Pigs to create an opera. They have entitled the story, The Big Bad Day. As the story is told from the wolf's perspective, he had bad allergies and sneezed the houses down. He's misunderstood because perhaps he even has corona, says the third grade creators of the story. This was a much needed creative writing experience for our young scholars, as well as an opportunity to sing and dance and perform. I'm proud to say that this performance will take place on Tuesday, November the 29th, 2022 at 10 a.m. for our elementary students, for all the Normandy elementary students, the faculty and administration, to show at the Anheuser-Busch Theater, and might I add, the largest theater at the Two Hill Performing Arts Center at the University of Missouri St. Louis campus, thanks to Dr. Michael Smith and the cooperating staff of the Two Hill. This performance, as well as a community performance on that same evening at 7 p.m. will be, my favorite price, free to the public. This will be in our neighborhood and for our family and friends in Normandy and neighbors. It has been my wish to include the urban schools and communities, with Normandy in particular, to receive the same use and recognition of talent as we see in neighboring communities, such as the Kirkwood Theater and the like. This performance will be done by selected 3rd through 5th graders from all the Normandy middle schools, with our strings and band students from Normandy High School playing alongside with members of the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. This is an important opportunity for our kids to see and play with professionals as I attempt to rebuild the fine arts, music, visual arts, theater, and eventually dance programs in the Normandy schools. In closing, I would like to thank Dr. Ryder for her enthusiasm and cooperation, as well as Dr. Pusateri and Ms. Weaver from transportation as they continue to seek ways to transport 1,400 students to the matinee. Thank you to Mr. Trahan and Ms. Springer for communications and publicity. You will see the students and myself on Channel 2 on Fox 2 News on Thursday and the following 2 Saturdays of before the break and after the break. And my principal, Robin Box Williams, for her flexibility, and the entire fine arts staff for their time and talent. I look forward to Normandy coming out to support our students.
Thank you so much. Any questions, comments?
If you have any questions, I'm able to answer now, because I have to tell you, I'm leaving this meeting headed to UMSL, where there are 3 of our high school music students will be participating in a ceremony as Triumph Honors Society members under the guidance of Mr. Adam Yannick and Mr. Terry Artis, who have chartered a chapter on my behalf. Normandy will have a Tri-M chapter at the high school in order to, in short, this is yet another opportunity for our music students to belong to a national society of young musicians. My newest friend, endowed professor, Dr. Michael V. Smith, has been a cheerleader for Normandy School's Fine Arts Department. And I, for one, am glad. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Ms. Palmer has to leave quickly. Could we get a picture real quick? Yep, we'll do it right where.
One point, Mr. President, if I may. I'd like to recognize that Dr. Palmer is an alum of the district 1983. I didn't tell her age, I just told the class that she graduated.
I was 58 last Tuesday.
All right, all right. That's right, that's right. And so we're very grateful for you to be giving your service to the district. And that kind of excellence is what this district has always produced. And so thank you. Last night at the meeting that we'll hear about, there was so much excitement in this community when alums come back to serve. And this is a wonderful example of what we get when that happens. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge, for highlighting that.
We have one more.
Sure.
Again, to keep the pride going, we want to congratulations are in order for Coach Tyrone Baker, who's here with some of his players, and the Normandy High School Viking football team for playing in the Class 3 District 3 first round playoff game that took place on Saturday, October 29th. This game marked the first time in more than 10 years that the Vikings made it to the regional football playoffs. So we want to thank coaching staff and Coach Hamilton is here as well. And the fans for making this a memorable year, a memorable football season for Normandy and actually for the entire community. So we want to welcome.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Please.
First off, I just want to say thank you to everybody in here, the Normandy community, for all the support that they gave us this season. We knew it was going to be struggles, but these guys overcame them. We had leaders like Maurice Sullivan, Tayshawn on our team. These guys were everything for the team. You know, right now, all we can do is just start working, building towards next year. The thing was, the support that we got from the community is kind of what gave these guys the fuel. You know, it was like, hey, we understand that we got obstacles to go through, but the thing is, when we have a strong support system from Normandy, it made those obstacles a lot easier. You know, we got the construction going on at the school, which caused us to touch a little bumps. But at the end of the day, everybody was so supportive throughout the whole season, and that pretty much helped us out a lot, from the school to outside of the school and everything else. So.
Coach, for a second. You guys were a burst of inspiration for the district as a whole, because as you mentioned, you guys have gone through a lot of adversity, the challenges in the game. I saw how your teammates, your players would pick each other up, and when you get down or get behind, you know, you demonstrated Viking pride like I haven't seen in a while since I've been here. So I just want to commend you for that. Your players have demonstrated that they demonstrated good sportsmanship at all times. So really appreciate your representation of Normandy.
Appreciate it.
Okay, yep, let's do it. Let's do it.
Coach, you hosted it too, right? Right there, all right.
All right. All right, any more questions or any comments from the board related to public recognition we saw today? Anything else?
I just want to say about Ms. Palmer. My niece was at Jefferson for quite a while, and Ms. Palmer is 24/7 teacher. After school, weekends, it doesn't matter. She also has that, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not, don't do it. Oh, no. Okay, now, Sunday, Ms. Palmer's community choir was at my church. I mean, there must be 30, 40 people in the choir. She's the leader. They appear all over this area. It's fabulous, wonderful. If we had a legacy award in Normandy, for Normandy, she should get that too. She has been an anchor in this school district for many, many years. I'm so pleased that she is finally getting recognition for her work.
Thank you.
And if I could also add, I know that my son graduated from Normandy in 2007, and Ms. Palmer also had an impact on him. He was a flautist, and because of that, he's still connected with music. He's actually relocated to Atlanta. He's a music producer, studio engineer, and it's directly because of the work that the music teachers here at Normandy had poured into him.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Ms. Williams and Mr. Humphrey. Moving on to item number 3, the agenda. There are just a couple changes that we need to amend and then move forward. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. That is item number 4. That should be labeled board operations, and there are 2 items under there. 4.01 superintendent search update, 4.02 municipal partnership update, and that's it. Oh, 4.0, thank you, Alex. 4.03, we'll just make mention of student representation on the board. I want to say something about that as well. I think that is those are the only amendments to the agenda. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with the amendments.
So move.
Get a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that we adopt the agenda as amended. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same privilege. The ayes have it. All right. Moving on to item number 4, board operations, the transition committee. So the transition committee, basically that update is going to be, board operations, the 4.01 superintendent search update. And I'll make just a quick comment regarding the transition committee. We have some changes in that leadership. Mr. William Humphrey is stepping up to take on that role as the chairman of that subcommittee. And so we'll be hearing more from him down the road. He's been actively involved in the superintendent search, and we'll be doing that more with Steve Brotherton, but right now we'll yield the floor to Mr. Brotherton related to the superintendent search update.
Thank you. I'll reintroduce myself again. I'm Dr. Steve Brotherton. I'm working with the Missouri School Boards Association, partnering with you on the superintendent search. And as you know, we've been working on this together for a while now. We started last spring talking about a 5-step process that we were going to work through to find the next superintendent for the Normandy School District Collaborative. And tonight I want to tell you about all 5 steps, where we're at with that, or where we're going with that. So you guys have a PowerPoint for me?
Which one was it? Yeah.
That one,
This one?
superintendent search. No, that's not it. No, sorry.
Share the screen. Looks like it's-
Did you come up again?
Oh, not this one.
No, it's. We'll get there.
Can't find it. That's one. Is that which one? There's 2-1. So maybe I guess.
I don't see it.
This one.
Has it been loaded?
It's a,
Same thing.
no, that's the interim superintendent update. That's her update.
This one's search.
Yeah, that's it. How can I advance it myself?
No, I can share it. There we go.
Just click that.
And then a slideshow.
All right, here we go. That wasn't too bad, was it? Was for me. It felt like it was forever up here. But. So I said there's a 5-step process, and the first step was really just developing an applicant profile and finding the right fit for the school district. So that's the work that I've been doing in the district over the last few weeks. So you guys completed a board survey. We also had a community survey, and I've been conducting some focus groups throughout the district. I've met with the central office team, with the principal team, teacher team, parents, and community officials last evening to find out. I asked them what were their hopes for the district, what were fears of possibly having a new superintendent come in, and just what are some of the characteristics that they would like to see in a new superintendent. So my intent from working with all of these groups is to kind of find some themes that kind of connect back to the survey work and come up with some big ideas that we look for when we're looking for the next superintendent. So here are what I narrowed down to 7 big ideas from lots and lots of input from a lot of people. So focus on student achievement and overall success. And when we talk about that, we're talking about academic achievement and social emotional kinds of needs of students. Understand this community. So anything from people were saying we'd like people that were maybe alumnus to people that have had an urban education experience. So those are all the kinds of things that we understand what Normandy is and what Normandy needs. A systems thinker, strategic planner, somebody that can kind of set direction and then stand up and hold that direction for the community. Kind of somebody that can share a vision and push that vision forward. Two-way communication and a good listener that respects others' voices. Or so too often kind of hearing that folks come out and try to take information, but they really aren't listening. They're still going to do what they want to do. And we want somebody that is going to be open to everybody and respectful to everybody. Committed to the district in the long term. And again, that was comments from like somebody that might use this job as a stepping stone to somebody that might not be here for the right reason. So we want somebody that's here for the right reasons, that wants to be here and wants to stay here. bring the community together and provide stability. I think we're talking about somebody that connects with lots of different constituents groups. And I think when you just talked about that Viking pride, somebody that can bring everybody together around, let's be prideful about the work that we're doing in our district. And then proven success in prior work, not somebody that can just talk the talk, but somebody that actually has some data sets and can maybe show us like some work that they've done in the past that has moved the needle in other places. So those are kind of broad themes that came out of a lot of individual thinking, then some small group thinking, and then larger group thinking, and as well as your surveys. Any thoughts on that from you all? Does that sound like? Yeah. All right, so that's phase one, and that's finding the right fit. The second part is actually doing the recruitment part, and we're in the process of recruiting applicants right now. The application process closes on Monday the 14th. So I just want to give you a quick update on how the applications are coming in. Right now, we have 9 applicants that have completed applications, and then there are 9 more that I can see the applications are in progress. So probably most of those will come through as well. You know, a lot of folks are getting their letters of reference and just busy, and they will turn stuff in at the last minute. So I would say that we'll end up with probably between 15 and 20 applicants by the time all said and done with that. So that's that part. That's step 2 will be coming to a close on Monday. Then the next steps are to take that large group of 15 to 20 and narrow that down to a manageable group of probably about 6 is what I've been talking to Mr. Humphreys about. 6 really good candidates. So the way that we do that is I'm screening applications as they come in. We're looking at the paper part, making sure everybody has the right certification, what their prior experiences were, doing some interviews based on the superintendent standards and some of those things that are in the profile that we developed, as well as checking references. So I was telling Mr. Humphreys the next time we meet, we'll be in an executive closed session. I will have all those applicants, and I'll be able to tell you, I call it the A to Z meeting because they'll be alphabetized from the first one to the last one, strengths, weaknesses, and who I would recommend that we move forward or who we might want to have some discussion about. And then you as a group will work with me to narrow that down to about 6 applications, we're hoping. Then we will actually take those folks to the interview process. So the narrowing is step 3. The interview process is the step 4 process. We'll develop questions based on superintendent standards and those themes again for you all to ask those 6 applicants. After that interview session, we'll hopefully get that down to a group of 2 or 3 that we'll bring to a community forum. Depending on what happens at the community forum and from the results from the interview, it may cause us to want to do another round of interviews. That'll all be part of the interview process at step 4. And then the last step is the hiring process. Once you've selected the person that you want to offer the position to, the district probably would work with your district attorney to contract and decide how to move forward with that applicant. We're hoping the timeline that we can be finished with this by January of the upcoming year. Mr. Humphreys, did you want to add anything else?
No, I think you've covered everything we discussed.
Okay, so that is the timeline in a nutshell. I will have to say that it's been a pleasure going to the district and meeting with the different groups. If we can kind of match the passion that the people of the district have with a person that's going to come in and be the superintendent, it should be in great shape. So thank you again for the opportunity to work with all of you, and I look forward to sharing the next steps with you as I finish narrowing the field a bit. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain those questions.
Any questions? Ms. Patton? Any question? None? No question. Thank you. All right, no question. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the update. All right. Okay, moving on to.
I got you.
Moving on to item 4.02, municipal partnership updates. We have Mayor McGee, please.
To the board president, the board, to the parents, teachers, students. My name is Mayor McGee, the mayor of the city of Anita Park. We have Mayor Jackson, the mayor of Beverly Hills. He's the vice chair of the 24-1 Municipal Partnership, and I am the chair. I just want to just make some comments. I think you are going in the right direction. Dr. Brotherson did an excellent job last night with the focus group. They had the hopes and the fears, and they were so enthused about that. I mean, just to be a part of Normandy again and have some input, that was great. I mean, the buzz is still going around about the things that they was talking about, the hopes and the fears. So I just want to thank you all so much for doing that and going in the right direction and getting the community involved and get the community leaders involved, because it's going to take all of us. Take a village to raise a child. You can't do it by yourself. So we here to help in every area that we can. We also had a meeting with Norman in reference to behavioral health. And Mr. Bass going to be talking to you all about that. So we're moving in the right direction on that. So I can't thank you all enough. And Mayor Jackson, the vice chair, he's the educational director with the 24-1 Municipal Partnership. And I have him to come up and make this announcement.
Thank you.
Very quickly, been at the polls all day, so you all understand. I've been out there 11 hours, so I'm tired already, and I still got another meeting after this one. It's a fun meeting, but I still got to have another meeting. On last week, I did a presentation to the senior class. After talking to Dr. Petty, got me with the Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Gray, and got over there and talked about a training program that's free, that's being put on by Macedonia Development Corporation and auspices with Lewis and Clark Community College. It's to train young people 16 and up. They can be 16 and up, they can be 30 years old. If they desire to do this type of job. What I told them is that clean energy and sustainability jobs will be coming online, and different things that have to do with that will be coming online with living wage jobs. So this training is so that they can be nationally certified as solar panel installers. It's said that 1.5 to 2.5 million solar panels will be installed across the United States over the next 1 to 3 years. Those jobs pay $22 an hour to start. And then they can get further certification through Electricians Union or some other body that will get them certification to put in whole systems, which pays anywhere from $32 to $40 an hour. These are living wage jobs. All the young people may not be going to college, but they still deserve a living wage job. This is the shortest certification that they will find anywhere. So this is 5 weeks, 4 weeks of training through Lewis and Clark Community College, done virtually from our Beverly Hills City Hall space, our new space that we have. That training is done right from there virtually. And then they take them out into the field where they get hands-on. So after they get their certification, they're getting all the answers to the cert test that they'll take. After they get the certification, that's a national certification where they can work anywhere in the United States. And that certification will hold for them to do that particular job. And then they can segue into other clean energy and sustainability jobs. These are jobs of the future. Those of us sitting here, some of you around my age, you know, they told us to get ready for the computer age. Some of us listened, some of us didn't. Those who did found some very great jobs with Microsoft, with IBM and other companies because they got ready for the computer age. We need to get ready for clean energy, geotherm, waste renewables, solar modular homes, charging station manufacturers, solar panel manufacturing. These will be living wage jobs. Mayor McGee and I, we tell politicians that we talk to, Jeff City or DC, we don't need no more $9 or $10 an hour jobs in our community. You can't support a family off that. But we need to help these young people so they can get prepared for these. We had a few young people that were interested, some were not. We got some young people that got in from St. Vincent Children's Home. Some of them live closer to the East St. Louis satellite that they're doing. And so they're already in. I have a couple of days to get a few more in from Normandy. So we're hoping a few of them able to come, and they can come right here in the same footprint, get the training. Most certifications you go through, it's gonna be 6 months to a year. This is 5 weeks. And you certified, and you can go and work anywhere for any solar company. If you check with solar companies now, Straight Up Solar, Balance Solar, there are other solar companies. Most of them are 2 and 3 months behind on work. And many of them are having the same problem everybody else has, finding qualified workers. And if you don't have this certification, then you can't work. So we look forward to trying to advance this and then bring other opportunities that will make themselves available, which we're working on right now. And so we look to come back in maybe the coming months and maybe expand on some of the things we're trying to do to make sure that our young people have opportunity to do well. Even if they don't choose to go to college, we still want them to do well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, any questions?
Thank you. Appreciate that update.
I apologize for being muted. The last item on the board operations, 4.03, student representation of the board, beginning with working with the student council president to get him more active in our process and use it as a mechanism to his leadership at the high school and throughout the district to hear the voice of the students and have them having a more active role in our process here with the leadership of the beginning with the student council president. So in the coming meetings, you'll see that we'll be working very closely with Stefan in order to create an agenda and some goals and objectives so that we can work with the student population. That's it under board operations. Moving on to item number 5, interim superintendent update. Dr. Ryder.
Good evening, everyone. I first want to say that football game that we just had a couple of weeks ago was so very exciting. It was fun to watch. Our guys played really hard and there was a ton of spirit in the audience. So it was a great time. So just wanted to add that little bit of information first. And next, I would like to, I think so, you did. I apologize for that. We thought I was muted. So this evening, the presentation is over our first window of our iReady diagnostic. So this is our baseline data for this school year. I took a bit of a different approach since we have some comparison data because this is our really our third full year of implementing iReady. However, the first year we were in the pandemic, and so our numbers were pretty low, and the data is questionable of how reliable that it was at that time, just because of participation in the assessments. So I chose to share 2021 in the fall, which was window 1, and then 2022. And you can see that we had significantly more participation this year than we have in 2021, and actually the previous year as well. So getting to our reading diagnostic information, you'll notice that window 1, during 2021, we had 32 students that were mid to above grade level. And then this year we have 52 students. And then you'll see that we have an increase of students in all of the other levels as well. But keep in mind, we also assessed about 250 more students this year than we did the previous year. The same trend you can see for mathematics as well. And again, the same is true that we assessed about actually, in this case, more closer to 40 students. And then on these slides, you can see the comparison for each school, where the performance was in 2020. Well, you know what? My years are wrong at the bottom. It should say 2021 to 2022. I'm not sure if you guys have the updated links presentation. Sorry. But you'll notice that the data looks pretty much the same for window 1 and both of the comparison years. And that was true for all of our schools in reading. And you're actually going to see the same trend in math. So 2021 to 2022, you'll notice pretty much the same trend for window 1. And then you'll see Lucas, the Early Learning Center, and Washington on this screen. So you may ask, what does all of this mean? My analysis of this information simply is we tested more students, which is a great thing because we have more information. The good news is our scores look about the same as they did in the beginning of the year last year, as far as the percentages. A challenge that we have is that there are more students that we need to move. You'll notice that there were more students in each of the groups. So that means even though we may have a few more students at the top end, we have a couple of hundred more students also in the lower end. So we have work to do, but I'm convinced with our curriculum and our teachers that we will be able to get there. We'll see with window 2. Questions?
I guess at this point, I've not had a chance to really digest the numbers in them. I'm just not seeing them. And I guess as I look at the data, when we compare year 1 to year 2, it did not appear to be any growth. So I'm not sure exactly what are we doing different to ensure that the next cycle is going to have different results, because right now they appear to be flatlined. Because one of the things that I haven't noticed in our conversations is that I know that I saw the data where we had kids that were multiple years behind the money, 1, 2, and 3 years. But I don't know what the support system is, because I know that, we had an earlier report a few weeks ago where we had 154 kids that were going into high school from 8th grade. And as I remember, at least 80 of those kids had phonetic issues around reading. But I don't hear anything about tutoring or other support systems that are going to help kids. So that's what I'm looking for, is the plan that goes with writing these numbers, not just the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to speak to that? Is that a question? We do this year, in comparison to last year, we do have a more structured intervention process. we call it Block B in our schedule. And we have that time for both ELA and mathematics. Many of those interventions are around iReady and meeting students' individual needs. But there's also some work with phonics, phonemic awareness, the skills block that goes along with our EL curriculum. So there is a plan, and currently, not to get into it too much, there's also some planning happening at the high school level for intervention in both reading and math, moving into second semester. With our freshmen specifically. All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 6.
You wanna talk about that a little bit? It's a mixed bag. There's a little bit of both, so.
I was muted too, so let me go back and restate briefly.
Right.
The ESS program, as I understand it, is designed to recruit substitutes for the district. And so I guess the question I have is existing long-term subs or subs that are in the district, are they going through the ESS organization, and will we be charged a fee by them for the same people that we already had in place? Or is this only designed to bring in new substitutes?
Kind of, it's 2 questions. One, yes, to the first part regarding them onboarding existing members of the second part of is yes as well, as far as paying or us paying for new people to be brought on board. So there is a fee associated with everyone that's a part of this program that we have ESS for. In that being the case, there's an associated accountability to that as well, as far as the entire onboarding process.
Okay.
So ESS is from the very beginning, as far as onboarding, they are responsible for everything. So there is an
And so
association.
we're paying for the people that we already had on board as though they had recruited them?
Yes, sir. Because recruiting is just a part of it. But the onboarding process, again, is more than just the recruiting.
Okay.
And the bigger part of it is the accountability and us bringing other people on and having someone that we can hold accountable for ensuring that they meet our needs.
Okay, and I guess as we go forward with this, we already know how many people that are going to transition or being onboarded by them that we already have. Will we be getting reporting in the future to show how many subs they've actually added since the agreement? Because I don't want to muddle the water and have them get credit for people that we already had.
Correct, and the answer is yes.
Okay.
Ms. Patton, any questions? Ms. Williams?
I noticed payment of the county services there on this last check. Is that their final payment?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right. Ms. Dodge?
Can you just clarify, for those who may not have
heard the presentation at the last board meeting, why we're making this move. Can you explain that briefly for those who are listening?
Sure. With the previous contract that we had with Kelly Services, they were responsible for making sure that they had a certain fill rate. We want 100% fill rate. Their fill rate was under 10%. All right. And I mean on the daily rate. So consistently, they weren't able to meet our needs. The bigger part of us filling sub positions was done based on our building level administration doing things to finagle having this person go there. And that being the case, teachers are losing and sacrificing playing time. Now, are they being paid for that? Yes, but you can't equate the amount of money paid for teachers during that plan for what it is that they're doing. And if we're looking at a correlation between assessments, teachers need plan time. So the idea is to, again, have a company who we can hold accountable, make sure that they do everything we need them to do. And if they don't meet the need, then we move forward. Also, while we're doing that, because when I was a building level administrator, I was talking to Ms. Gully about this, as well as Dr. Douglas about this. I would like us to assist schools in having a grow your own type of process to ensure that we're not just, we want to hold ESS accountable, but we also want to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to have a fill rate of 100% a day. So what I've been doing, I've been just personally word of mouth, been reaching out to former students who are new graduates or who are and in between jobs or whatever, and seeing if they are interested in being a part of what it is that we have here in Normandy. And in doing so, I have them reach out to DESI to get their sub-certification, and simultaneously I have them apply with ESS so we don't lose any time.
Thank you, Dr. Brooks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Brooks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other regarding work? We got a motion on the floor. There was this in discussion now. Are there any other discussion items?
Mr. President.
Yes.
I do have a question about Go Guardian. It looks like this is a $34,000 annual expense for software. And I'd like to know if we've got any usage feedback from our teachers on this, if this is, because I understand we're renewing this contract from before. So can we get some feedback on how it's worked?
Yes, good evening. I just want to say that I got this, Zach had to be out, so he asked me to step in, so I will answer what I can answer for you. He did have a presentation prepared. What I can say is that I personally have witnessed teachers using Go Guardian. It has been, when we did our RSIT walkthroughs, when teachers are doing small group instruction and they have kids in computer stations to work, they are able to monitor what students are doing in real time. So anytime a teacher has assigned students to do any work, that is a way for them to still monitor that the students are still engaged in the work that they've been assigned. So I know that I've seen that happen across all grade levels here. It's also been very useful with Project Phoenix, where we have seen a teacher teaching students across several school buildings. And so for them, for the instructional assistant or the guest teacher who's in the classroom supporting and proctoring, they can also use this as a tool to watch and see what students are doing in real time, so that we don't have, because it's easy for kids to get off track when we're virtual or we're doing something with technology. It's definitely a way to monitor the material and the content that kids have access to.
So Dr. Douglas, you are saying from your perspective, teachers see this as an essential tool for student production.
It is in the age that we're in, because it's so easy for kids to get sucked in and to look up and they're on some other site that they have no business being on. So if a teacher can monitor, use proximity control, use all of those things that we've traditionally used as educators, but also have this additional tool to allow students to work in small groups or allow students to do stations, it's really a key element that we have it in our classrooms.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions regarding Any other discussion?
Well, the only quick thing, just going back to ESS again, I just want us to be able to monitor that to make sure that we are in fact getting what we're paying for. Because, we're starting out transferring a bunch of people, and I just want to make sure that they are in fact recruiting people and that we're paying a fee for the work that they're doing.
So Dr. Brooks, the reporting does involve a monitoring mechanism, correct?
Of course, we will be sending a weekly report to the superintendent in addition to other aspects of HR.
All right, thank you, Dr. Brooks. Any other discussion? All right, motion on the floor. By vote, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same privilege. The ayes have it. All right. Moving on to item number 7. Wait, sorry, item number 8. Items for action, 8.01 KAI Construction Manager Professional Services Extension. I think Dr. Pusateri is, unfortunately, we learned today that Dr. Pusateri lost his father. So he's not able to present this, but I think I'm sorry?
Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, but KAI is here, so I think it'll be appropriate for us to, KAI was, as part of a process, we selected them as our construction manager. Part of the reasoning behind selecting the firm, one, because of their construction management execution experience, but also being having affiliate design build affiliates, helping us kind of work through the kinks of some of our design gaps, and working with contractors to help them stay on track with scheduling and budget. So obviously we're still in our Prop V construction with another year or so to go, and we still need that construction management oversight, owner's representation oversight. So wanted to present today this item for action, but I think it's probably more appropriate now just to get an update presentation from KAI. Mr. Michael Kennedy, who's president of KAI, is here to present, and then we can determine as a board how we'll proceed given the absence of Dr. Pusateri, who can really answer some questions for the district.
I just hit down. Yep, just one. Oh, got it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Just wanted to go over, I understand that we do have a lot of new board members, some familiar faces in here, but I'd like to just take the opportunity to give a little bit more background on KAI and then give an update. I won't take too long. We're going to go very swiftly through some of these slides, but we've been making some great progress here and wanted to let you know what's been going on. So this is our, is this the right slideshow? I don't know if this is the right one versus the one I have in here. I think do you have more than one linked in here? That's the only one. It's a carrier, right? Yeah, scroll down there a little bit. Let me see something. I just want to make sure. Okay, this one. I believe, yeah, that's it. All right, that's a different slide there. Sorry about that. Hit the button for this one. I think it's just that. Okay. All right. So just wanted to introduce you to some of the team members that we have. That there's a lot of people in the office and here that are on site that support this effort. KAI was established in 1980. It was started by my father as an architecture firm. We added engineering, we added construction services in the 90s, and now we have 150 employees nationwide. Our headquarters is here in St. Louis. Our second largest office is in Dallas. Our parent company is KAI Enterprises. The company that's working with you guys here is called KAI 360 Construction Services, which is our construction management and program management group. We have designers, engineers in our build group that all help each other. So no matter what the task is, we have a whole cadre of resources internally that support any issues that could come up on your project site. And I assure you, all of these groups have touched your project as different things have come up to help with our safety people, our design people, helping our build group estimate and try to figure out to fill the gaps on some of the issues that came up in the projects. St. Louis is our headquarters. We're also in Atlanta, and we're in Dallas, Fort Worth area, and Kansas City, Missouri. Our core values are listening to understand. We feel like we need to be there to understand what you guys want and not push our agenda on you. That's a core value we try to push throughout our whole organization. We're faithful stewards of your money. We want to make sure that, you guys only get one shot to do your project. We try to make sure that people don't just look at this as a job. They need to understand the tax dollars, the money that you guys have to raise and the effort that goes through it, and that everything that they do in that office matters. So we talk about this every month in our staff meetings. We hire based on these. We review our staff based on these core values. Hustling to us means you go fast because you plan. We plan so we can go fast. In the construction industry, that's key. And then we want to make sure that we give back to our community and everything that we do. And while we're working with everybody in our community, we want to make sure that we love one another. I know I don't have a lot of time, but I'm trying to give you a little background. Transforming communities through integrated design and construction excellence. We emphasize the excellence and we emphasize the transformation of communities. And it's not just about the people, the buildings that we do, but the people who use them. So that goes back to our giving back aspect. Moving along. Our community outreach programs, we do that to strengthen a lot of what we do. We ask our people to volunteer. We work within the office. We have people and students have come in the past through our office. Yeah, this slideshow is not what I was looking at, but team offers a lot of unique perspectives, again, utilizing our engineering and architecture and our at-risk group in-house. Having real estimators and real designers in the software that we use really helps a lot of the problem solving that you guys really get to take advantage of. We're currently working on many multi-billion-dollar programs like yours. We're working in the Dallas Independent School District, where there's a $3 billion program where we're one of the 4 program managers in that. We have 300 million in projects that we are the construction manager on in underway. So you guys are always getting cutting edge information and techniques on your projects. Safety comes first, especially when we're dealing in a campus with students. We're your district's advocate, using all of our resources and all our phases, and we're accessible and communicative. We have an initial core team, but we mobilize and right size the staff depending on this phase of the project. So we were a little heavier on the front end. We're tuning down that staff now to close out the project to make sure we're still faithful stewards of your dollars. These are some things you guys can read in the packet, but these are the processes and what we do when we engage in the district, what we do during the design phases, during the procurement phases, what we do and estimating on and preparing all of those agendas and bids. This is not the right. The first couple slides were familiar, but we were trying to simplify this and present it. So there is and I saw there was a couple links in the agenda for different presentations. So I'm assuming that this one, that's what's throwing me off a little bit.
So while they're working on that, as being involved in the process through our Prop V construction and from the the RFP process to select a construction manager up until now. So through the RFP process, we selected KAI. We had a time frame for, I think it was like 12 months to get through the first phase of Prop V construction. Obviously, there's been some delays for a number of different reasons that have been reported. And we recognize that it's probably going to take us another, 9 to 12 months extension to get through the prop fee construction. So this, what's being presented is to extend it because our contract was just through October 31st. So basically taking the same terms of what we negotiated initially and did some value engineering that Dr. Pusateri went through in terms of negotiating moving forward. But it's in essence, it's the same terms, but with a extension of a year to get through the completion of prop fee. And we asked, because of there were new board members, we asked that KAI come and just give us a refresher of who they are. And they've added a lot of value in terms of working through labor shortages, helping us the RFQ process with subcontractors, negotiating bid pricing, working through scheduling issues, design. We've had some significant design issues that contributed to a lot of the change orders that we saw.
I'll talk through, I have the proper presentation right here in hard copy. Our computer died, so we can't. And then there may have been Marcus uploading the wrong thing to board docs.
The floor is yours.
So let me help. So one of the things we wanted to talk about in the CM pre-construction services, and the main thing we want to focus is we moved this team from a design-led process to a scope to budget-led process. So what happened originally was an architect was brought on. You guys were just saying, we want to do this, we want to do that, and we're designing all those pieces. But what really needed to happen is aligning that scope with the overall budget and then telling the design to go. And a lot of that information you would get is through, would have been through, and we had a simple slide to show you what that process would look like. A lot of those changes happened in bringing us in as a construction manager. We were there to architect that was over here. We're bringing in as the CM, and then GCs were just hard bid in the street. And then we had to manage all these different pieces where we didn't have any control over them. What we had also in here is a slide as the day one when we show up, where there's already a contractor on board and a contractor on board for West Hall. And we had 37% in change orders on that project. But as we got into it and we're able to do some of the things that you guys requested, get control of the front ends that went out on the street, make sure that we got your business utilization goals in there and other things that we were able to hit and make a 36% on MBE on a 25% goal. We had 35% on the work goal on the workforce, but we ended up around 19%. But we had more teeth in our contracts to manage that. In the future, and so we had 7% on the second project, and we're at 1% on the current project. But a lot of that had to do with reeling in
terms of change orders.
In terms of change orders.
Yep.
So these are change order percentages.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of those change orders happened because the drawings weren't done. And there wasn't done with scope to budget. And then so you guys were left to make a lot of decisions during construction. So especially on that first project, so it put you in a tough position. What we're doing now is making sure that our design-led project are getting to scope to budget-led. The second big thing that we did was pre-qualification standpoint, where we're not just bidding it to everybody in the street. We're making sure that the Normandy School District goals are being fully met by making sure that we're pre-qualifying people who can actually meet those goals, allowing a smaller group to bid on it, which also increases the quality of contractor and increases your bid coverage from your subcontractor base, because they know that they got a better shot at winning it between these few GCs. And so their selection process is going to get increased, and it's giving you guys better quality, lower change orders. Facilitated the value engineering efforts and budget to schedule outcomes. And anyway, we brought our builds perspective in, and our estimators working with your GCs and our team, and then our safety folks are out there making sure that the jobs are being run safely and they're organized. And so
So
Yes, sir, Ron.
I think that one of the key takeaways was that we wanted to make sure, we knew we had a history of, change orders on our prior projects. And we knew going into it that that was going to be a key area of focus. Why were we there and how do we, manage through that process? And one of the items was that, we just had incomplete drawings. And that always leads to chaos and confusion when contractors are bidding it and the number, and not having that predictability and that certainty to get to a number. So I think one of the key takeaways from this presentation is that we went from having change orders to the, close to 40%. So now we're in the low digits in terms of being able to have more predictability, utilizing some of the value that KAI brought from a design and constructability standpoint to working with contractors as they were giving us pricing to make sure that we were really getting some good information on what the numbers were relative to the scope of work, relative to the timeline. So I think the key takeaway here is that, because without having some of the folks on our side, like Dr. Pusateri and even Randy, that were intimately involved with this, wanted to hear from you to utilize this time to hear from you in terms of what you've done up until this point, what we can look at, because really it's an extension. So, but we wanted to get that value add, and some of that value add is, just to reiterate that, and then also one of the things you talked about in your presentation is how we can utilize this platform to enhance, opportunities for our students going into trades, opportunities to expand that. So I want to hear a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, so we had a few meetings. We had the outreach with the students, and we've been working with the trade associations. You guys don't have a trade program here, but we've asked that anybody who was interested, and we had kids working with us on this past summer, not summer, fall, when at the beginning of the school year where we had that outreach meeting. I think that the thing that we see in our industry is a tremendous amount of gap. I just was listening today that we have 1,450 less carpenters than we did in 2008 for the St. Louis region. I heard the other gentleman up here speaking about the solar panels and those other trades that are desperately in need. That goes for every trade up and down the list. We have a tremendous amount of retirees. We have 40. I think we have half of the people retiring and the baby boomers are entering into the workforce. So regardless of what happens in this economic downturn that they anticipate coming, there's still going to be a shortage of staff. I think this is going to be the first time that there was ever a slowdown in the economy where there's not a shift from employer to employee. I think there's still going to be a shortage in labor, which means that everybody who wants to do or can do a trade and is serious about it and they're safe will have a job. So we are opening to sponsoring folks into the unions. I know that unions here are actively pursuing. They're looking for finishers. They're looking for tapers. We're looking for carpenters. It's wide open. So it's really about educating the students and seeing if they would like to get into these trades or trade schools and look for alternative education to higher ed, which does not mean you failed. It means you got the God-given talents that are meant to be used in the field. So everybody's built differently. Yes, sir.
Thank you for the presentation and the information and for KAI's commitment to our students. We appreciate that. I'm a social worker. I'm not a construction guy. And a lot of the conversations that you've had so far, our president understands that language, but I'm not sure everybody else understands exactly what we can expect here. So can you do me a big favor?
Sure.
And simplify this? We've been really frustrated in the past with these change orders that have cost us way more than what we had anticipated.
Correct.
In the past. KAI has been a partner with us for the past year, and we paid you a significant amount of money over the year. We understand that now we need you a little bit longer. Can you help us understand how much that's going to cost us? Is it going to cost us more or less? And what we can expect in savings now? I think it's been explained, but can you explain that to a social worker, right? What we're going to get in this next year, and please address our concerns about these change orders and because every time we got to change orders, it's like a stab to the heart for us. We can't have that, and just give it to us straight. What can we expect in this next year?
Well, that was and I wish the presentation was in here. That was a graph I was trying to show you is the amount of change orders are dropping tremendously. So the first project, I mean, we literally showed up, we were selected, and the drawings were already done for the first project and it was out to bid. So we couldn't control much on that. We just had to oversee and report.
Yep.
We were left to reporting and trying to manage and corral that first project, and that was West that had the heavy change orders you're all speaking of. The second project and the third project, we had 7% change orders, and that was partially from the performance of some of the other team members.
Yeah.
They were not completed with the drawings. If you don't have complete drawings, but you go out to bid, the contractors have opportunities for
but
change.
now moving forward, what's
Right.
going to be different?
What's different is the pre-qualification process has been huge. That's why you have less than 1% on East. Okay, so the things that are different are already happening. It's pre-qualification. It's ensuring that the drawings are completed. We've diversified our design teams and not overloaded one to make sure you have different people working on it. So not one guy's too overloaded with all of the workload. So differentiation in your team members, selecting better team members, and making sure that the scope to budget is all correct. And we're doing a lot more front end and putting language in the documents and putting teeth in our contracts to control those change orders.
Okay. And last year it cost us, how much did we pay KI? I thought I saw it. I don't have the presentation. And
It was a bargain.
and we're going to get a better bargain this next
So,
year.
and like, that's part of what I was talking about before earlier is, you have an industry, you'd have an industry fee where these guys at this, do this service are at this percentage of whatever the budget is, right? And the reason we promote our vertical integration of services is you're getting a lot more pieces that are still within that industry fee. So, and that's one of the things that Phil worked out with us is, there's some stuff that just popped up that wasn't even on our scope. And we're like, listen, we're here, we'll solve it. We'll figure that out. There's a tremendous amount of work that we did or gave in on our fees to make sure that you guys still had 100% coverage of what you needed. There was a building that wasn't even in our scope that we were helping them work through and do on all front ends. And my team put a lot of time into that. So there's upwards of multiple six figures of services that you are getting that aren't reflective in our fee.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, and I apologize, the wrong front one is there. Some of the front end stuff was there, but if there's any other questions, we'll make sure we email out the one that I have in my hand.
Can we ask you to do us a favor when
Sure.
because we're going to come back to this when Dr. Pusateri is available. Can you be here with us at that time?
Yes.
So that we can answer any of those questions?
Sure, what's the next date?
Beautiful.
Yeah, we'll let you know because it might have to happen in advance of our next formal date.
Okay,
So we'll let you know as soon as possible, but as soon as he's available, I think he will probably want to get that in short order because right now we're out of the contract.
yes, that's true. And we're willing to keep working on it, even though we're out of contract. We're not gonna stop.
Thank you for your commitment.
Understood and appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just let the records reflect that even though this is an item for action, it's really more like an item for information. It will delay you looking at me like that, go ahead.
Are we saying that they're going to continue to work even though we're out of contract?
That's what they just said.
And it's a verbal agreement?
That's what was just said. I don't like that idea, but
I don't like that idea at all.
Yeah.
If we're out of contract, we have to do something that's business-like. That's the way I feel. I shouldn't
Agreed.
ask him to,
that
company to continue to work.
That is a valid point. So that's determined because right now what Dr. Pusateri was going to present was that we extend their contract for another year. And I think that was part of the update presentation. I think we have the awkward situation of being out of contract, but they're working. So what is the pleasure of the board?
Well, yeah, one of the things I think he spoke to the issue of reducing change orders because as my notes were from 38% on the West project down to between 1 and 7. So I think, the fact that change orders have been reduced and minimized, that addresses one of our concerns. And unlike Sheila, I do believe that, we need to move forward and get this because I don't want to work without a contract. So if it's okay with you, if there's no other questions, I'd like to ask if you would entertain a motion to approve this.
I would.
I would actually enter a motion that we would approve extending the KI construction manager professional services contract in the amount of $373,374. Says $893,374.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moving properly seconded that we approve the extension of the contract as presented. Any other discussion?
I'd like to point out that is a significantly less amount in contract fees than previously for this year. I don't have the number in front of me, but it is at least 10% less than their fees for 2022.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or discussion? All right. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, same privilege. All right, so moved. So moving on to item 8.02, the financial audit. 2021-2022 financial audit.
Good evening, members of the board and community.
Good evening.
My name is Jackie Nix, and I am the coordinator of accounting. And I will be talking about some of the results of the 21-22 school year audit. Normandy Schools Collaborative invites an independent auditor each year to review our financial procedures, internal controls, alignment with policy, and compliance with state and federal regulations. Our auditor this year was KEB. They completed the formal audit for NSC's 21-22 records. Copies of the financial statements and report was distributed to the board members. Board members are encouraged to review these documents. There was just one audit finding. It was related to independent action the former superintendent took back in October of 2020. Overall, it was a clean and good audit this school year. Within the financial statement, the board is encouraged to take note of the following pages. On page 39, there's one deficiency with regard to the internal controls resulting in the audit finding. Dr. Pusateri discovered this back in July of 2022, that the former superintendent had signed a contract in October of 2020 without board prior approval. This was a violation of the board policy DJF-2. NSC administration has taken steps to mitigate against any reoccurrence of these steps. On page 39, it also notes that there is no instances of non-compliance under government audit standards. Page 42, no significant deficiencies in internal controls, no material weaknesses. Page 43, all overall summary for the full audit included unmodified opinion with regard to financial statement and federal awards. Dr. Pusateri and I were the leads for the audit. For the district's successful audit again this year is largely due to the work of several of my other co-workers. One being accounting specialist, Tawana Shaw. She supports me in my accounting managements. She also handles the federal program for grants. She has also cross-trained to support payroll and accounts payable. Another coworker that assists us with this audit is Tracy Collins. She is the coordinator of payroll. And last is Jamie Stinson. She is the business office specialist. At this time, I'd like to invite Rick Grazza from KEB to present the audit additional updates.
Like this. Good evening, everyone, and I am here to present the results of our audit of Normandy Schools Collaborative for the year ended June 30th, 2022. My name is Rick Grazza. I served as the lead audit partner. Everyone should have a presentation in their packet. We will also present it on the screen. Just as a reminder, it is management's responsibility to prepare the financial statements in accordance with the modified cash basis of accounting. It's our responsibility to express our opinion on the fair presentation of those financial statements. We did perform our audit in accordance with 3 sets of auditing standards. That's generally accepted auditing standards promulgated by the AICPA, government auditing standards promulgated by the Comptroller General of the United States, and uniform guidance by Office of Management and Budget. So as a result of our audit, we issued what's called an unmodified opinion. It's also known as a clean opinion. It means that based on all of our audit test work, we did in fact find that the financial statements were fairly presented in accordance with the modified cash basis of accounting. On the next slide, we just have a high-level summary of the results of the collaborative's operations for the year. Just looking at the operating funds, which are your general fund and your special revenue fund, your fund balances for 2022 represent 28% of your operating fund expenditures. You know, and we consider anything over 17% to be more than adequate. So you're well above that. As part of our audit, we do evaluate the collaborative's internal controls over financial reporting. We identified no material weaknesses. As Ms. Nix mentioned, we did have one finding, and that was related to the signing of a contract obligating the collaborative to purchase uniforms in advance of board approval. As part of our audit, in accordance with government auditing standards, we're also required to test the collaborative's compliance with regulations, statutes, laws, grants, and contracts. And we did not identify any non-compliance that required us to be reporting on that. The second piece of our audit, above and beyond the financial statement audit, is we audit the collaborative's compliance with the requirements that are applicable to its federal programs. Every year, we make a selection of which programs we want to test. We generally focus on those larger programs and those programs that haven't been tested in either of the past 2 years. This year, we tested ESSER and the 21st Century Program. As a result of that audit, we again issued an unmodified opinion. That's also, again, known as a clean opinion. And what that means in this context is that based on all of our test work, we found that the collaborative did comply with all the requirements over those 2 programs. No material weaknesses in internal control, and nor did we identify any significant deficiencies in internal control. The collaborative does not qualify as a low-risk auditee, and that's because the collaborative, like 95% of the other school districts in the state of Missouri, prepares the financial statements on a modified cash basis of accounting rather than generally accepted accounting principles. So that just means we're required to test more expenditures. We're required to get 40% coverage. So of all of your federal program expenditures, we have to test programs accounting for 40% of those. So the third and final piece of our audit is our audit of state compliance, specifically over budgetary and disbursement procedures, attendance records, and transportation records. Again, we issued an unmodified opinion, meaning that we believe that the collaborative complied with state statutes and regulations regarding those three areas. So in addition to our audit opinions that we've issued, our professional standards promulgated again by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants requires that we give you, the board, some additional information about our audit. First, our audit team was independent of the collaborative, of your management team and your employees. Second, as part of our audit, as part of our planning of our audit, we're required by professional standards to assess the risk. And then if there are any risks, we have to devote special audit attention to those risks. Our professional standards require that we always, in every single audit, identify management override of controls as a risk, regardless of the size or nature of the organization. So we all, as auditors, we always have to be on the lookout for that. The significant accounting policies that the collaborative uses in preparing the financial statements are described in Note 1. There are no transactions, complicated transactions that lacked authoritative guidance or consensus. There were no new accounting policies that were adopted. The financial statements are prepared on a modified cash basis of accounting. Therefore, there are no particularly sensitive accounting estimates. As part of our audit, we audit the adequacy of the note disclosures that accompany the financial statements, and we found those disclosures to be neutral, consistent, and clear. We had no disagreements with your management team. Your management team did provide us with what we call the management representation letter. That's where they certify to us that they believe the financial statements are fairly presented, and they provided us all the information that might be relevant to our audit. And as far as we know, management didn't consult with any other independent accountants to get a second opinion on any matters. We did propose to management one adjustment to the financial statements. Management reviewed and accepted that adjustment, and it's reflected in your financial statements. It's merely a timing issue. So for the annual Secretary of the Board report that's submitted to DESE, employer payroll obligations can be included in there as an expense, but not for the purposes of your financial statements for modified cash basis of accounting. So we had some employer withholding liabilities that were reported in your 2021, 2022 annual Secretary of the Board report, but not reported in your financial statements until fiscal year 22-23. So just the timing of when those expenses could be recognized. There were no uncorrected financial statement misstatements that we identified. And just in conclusion, we would like to thank Dr. Pusateri, Ms. Nix, and all of their staff. They really did an excellent job in providing us all the information early on. We were ready to, we were ready the first day to hit the ground running. That allowed us to be very efficient. They were very responsive to any requests for documentations or questions that we have. So we sincerely appreciate that. And I'd be glad to take any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Humphrey.
No questions.
Pat. Ms. Williams.
I just have one. Ms. Nix said that Dr. Pusateri found the contract issue. What year?
This year.
He found it this year.
He found it this year.
That the contract was signed in 2020,
July.
Okay.
It was actually signed in July of 2020.
Okay.
Correction, he found it in July of 2020, but he found it in July of this year, but it was actually signed October of 2020.
Right. So that's why I was wondering, the audit didn't see it before then, because you did an audit, right? That year that it was signed, that was not approved. But the audit didn't see that because of why?
We just sample transactions. We
I
can't
see.
test every transaction.
Yeah.
There's
I got it.
tens of thousands of transactions, so.
Okay. Okay, so we just brought it to your attention because we saw it this year, right?
Correct.
I got it. Okay, that's all I wanted.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Hodge.
Based on that response, could there be other discrepancies that happened that
Yes.
could have gone unnoted?
Yes.
There's always that possibility. The one thing I would say, though, I would have to give kudos to your business office and your internal control system, because you internally detected it. So I think it was approved in 2020, approved in 2021. The first year that contract, the purchase wasn't approved, your internal controls detected it and brought it to your attention. So there's always that possibility, but I believe from my perspective, and with all the school district audits I do, I believe you have very strong system of internal controls.
Thank you. No other questions.
No further questions. Thank you, Ms. Nix, as well. So, there's an action to approve the audit.
Second.
It's been moved and probably seconded that we approve the audit as presented. Any questions? Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same privilege. The ayes have it. All right. So moving on to board governance and policy items. There are a couple items that I'll yield the floor to Mr. Humphrey to present a couple items that are related to board governance and policy items. Mr. Humphrey.
One of the things I wanted to pull back up for the board's review is the discussion from the audit where he indicated during the audit that board policy DJF-2 had been violated when the superintendent did in fact sign the contract with prior approval. With that being the case, I would ask the board chair to entertain a motion that all approved contracts by the board going forward be only signed by the board president.
Okay, that sounds like a motion. Could I get a second? All right, it's been moved, properly seconded that all contracts signed by the district also are
Approved by the district.
Approved by the district are signed by the board president. It's a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Is that discussion? All right.
Did I understand the motion to be only signed by the board president or to not go forward for policies, the board president?
Well, the motion was because of the fact that we had an issue that a contract was signed without board approval. Once the board approves it, the motion is that once the contract has been approved, that the president would be the one to execute the contracts going forward. That way it eliminates anybody else signing a contract that has not been approved by the board. Because he would be the only one signing unless he provides a designee in his absence.
I am a little uncomfortable with that without the opinion of Dr. Pusateri on this issue. I don't know if we've had conversation about that, and so I've got a few questions about the implications of that and best practices. And so I just want to go on record for that, with that.
Sure. All right.
Well, I guess the question, you have one or two options. We do have an issue on the floor. You can table the issue if you want to, clarification from Pusateri, and we could bring it up for a future vote. But we know we need to attend to it to be able to eliminate the kind of issues that were brought forward today.
Well, we got a motion on the floor. We got to proceed with this, and then we can
Okay.
we can deal with that. So, any other discussion?
I would think though, I'm thinking we probably should have somebody else's opinion, because this is just something we are doing so that we can eliminate a problem we have.
But I think
But it's not necessarily
Right.
a best practice or good practice or even a.
We're talking about contracts that are Contracts, right?
Right.
All right, so
Only contract.
only contracts.
And the
So
policy says only the board, no contract should be let unless the board approves them.
approves it, right?
Right. That's what
And
the thing
so
says.
I think Dr. Pusatari's, getting input from him would be important from, I guess an execution standpoint. But we actually have our legal counsel here, Cindy. Cindy, do you mind coming up and giving us some guidance? Because I think the opinion we would really need is from our legal counsel. So Cindy, in terms of policy, can you address this for us?
Not only your policy, but board statute also requires boards to approve all contracts. Some boards will set a minimum amount that superintendent could sign off and then the board can ratify later. I haven't looked at your policies close enough to know whether or not you have that minimum amount in your policies. Usually it's a minimum amount of like $5,000 or less that a superintendent could act. Who signs the contract is completely up to you. Your policies may need to be tweaked if it says that you've got some, the superintendent can sign it, but it's completely up to the board who actually signs the contract. And as a point of order, since you've got a motion on the table, if it's the board's desire to table, a motion to table could be made, which would take priority over the motion that's currently being considered. But it needs to have a specific date to come back for consideration should you move to table, and you've got to immediately vote on that without discussion.
Thank you for that point of order too.
Thank you.
All
That
right.
was great.
All right, so we have
I think I can vote.
Well, what I would simply say, because of the board member unreadiness, that we do need to table this and bring it back to our next board meeting to resolve the issue.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in line. So
So hold on, time out. Since we're still having a discussion, isn't part of what we're talking about in terms of contracts? Wasn't this kind of prompted by a couple of recent issues, but by what we just got discovered in our audit that a contract wasn't signed by the board president at the time?
Right, but I guess the other piece of that too, when we went to the MSBA conference this past week, I was in a session by Celinda Brazier, and one of the things she said in her presentation was that all contracts should be signed by the board president. And this was an overall discussion about negotiating superintendent contract, but she specifically said that all contracts should be signed by board president. And that's the reason why, I kind of lifted it up. But at this point, because we have unreadiness from a board member, I would agree we should table the matter, get some feedback from Pusateri and bring it back at our next board meeting to resolve the issue.
Well, it's your motion, so I think that's,
Okay.
so it's been moving probably seconded.
Then we'll table.
There's no discussion. We'll
Okay.
table it. But I think a follow-on to, so that, yeah, all in,
Do you want a roll call vote it or?
yeah,
you
let's
want
roll call vote it.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
To table.
Yes.
Mr. Hodge,
yes.
Ms. Williams, Ms. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I think, so I think we could go around and deal with board comments as opposed to me injecting another item in here, but I think we need to address it. So, board comments, Mr. Humphrey.
Well, I was briefly going to say that I did attend the MSBA conference last week, 3rd through the 5th, and had a chance to visit a number of excellent presentations. In particular, there were two things that I saw that I thought could have some merit with us. The Princeton Review has a program called tutor.com, which provides one-on-one internet-based tutoring with both chat and verbal instruction in over 250 subjects. And it's online, on demand, 24/7. So I thought that was one that was good. The other thing I saw, which would be a good application in our anatomy and biology and sciences, there was a company that actually has a digital cadaver, which allows an individual to look at a human body that's been donated to science, and by pulling a switch, you literally pull a layer off so that students can actually study the entire body. So I do have information on all of that. Plus, I have a formal report for all the sessions that I attended and all the general sessions. And so I will submit this to the board secretary for our records. But those were the things I just wanted to highlight from that conference.
Thank you, Mr. Humphrey, for that. Ms. Patton. Thank you. Ms. Sheila Williams.
I attended the MSBA conference as well, but I will submit all of my notes to the secretary and anybody.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Mr. Hodge.
I also attended the conference. It was unbelievable. It was extremely encouraging. And I will also submit my notes to our secretary for review. I would also like to herald our municipal partners meeting that occurred on last night. I'd like to recognize Mayor Jackson and Mayor McGee for their leadership on that committee and bringing those that event together. It was absolutely an extraordinary showing of support for our district. And I can't say it enough about the hopefulness and the optimism of the community for our school district. So thank you to them for their efforts.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. I'm not submitting any notes, but the only comment that I have is that we have, had some very healthy discussions with the board, members of the municipal partnership, and leadership and teachers and staff at the district. And some predominant themes have been discussed that helps me to prioritize the type of leadership that I will try to invoke that will hopefully manifest in other places. One is our path to accreditation. That is supremely important. And we've been distracted by a lot of things, but let's not lose sight of all the specifics, the data, and everything and the energy that we need to achieve that. Also, creating a culture that our students can learn in a healthy and safe environment, our teachers can teach, our staff can execute on their work, and our leadership can provide the leadership and work accordingly as well. So having a culture and an environment that is accommodating for excellence that Normandy Vikings are accustomed to having. Thirdly, we said earlier in this year that this is going to be a tough and painful process. There's a lot of changes that are going to be made, and there are a lot of changes that are forthcoming, so brace yourself. But this is all, we are all going to be equally uncomfortable or equally satisfied, but we're going to own it because this is about improving the district so that we can achieve accreditation, but we can have an environment that is accustomed to delivering excellence and quality students that go on to become Vikings. It takes a village, it takes partnership, and it takes leadership wherever you are. Just because you have a title or some letter behind your name doesn't mean that, or you don't, doesn't mean you can't be a leader. We expect leadership where you are. And I think with that, we will be on the path to success. So I am appreciative of all your efforts. I look forward to rolling up the sleeves as we move forward. And and thank you. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So move.
Can I get a second? We need a roll call vote for this, or
Yes.
yeah, why don't we do that? Yep. My roll call vote, Alex?
Ms. Rowe,
Yes.
Mr. Hodge,
Yes.
Ms. Williams, Ms. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Yes.
Thank you.